Those woke 7-year-old kids are up to it again. You know, you hear about them every day on Twitter, but now they're actually going to save your local game store. If you read some of the hilarious responses about this single poorly written article about gamer language, you would think that there is millions of dollars just waiting to be earned by local game stores if they would just ban salty language. Let me put things in perspective. I made a video yesterday, I think, or a day before, about an article on Channel Fireball. I think I talked about it yesterday, and this will probably be the last time I talk about it, hopefully. I read a lot of posts from parents whose woke children would say to them that they don't like going to the game store because they hear salty language there. And all I can say is, I'll take things that never happened for $100, Alex. I don't know what it is about this generation of younger parents, millennial parents, but it's like they realize what they're about to say is super childish, so then they just say their kid said it. And the same type of people are also females that are like, I'm a female and I would go into a local game store if I didn't have to hear all this salty language. You would think that these bars, as Tara put it, friend of the channel, you would think that these local game stores are like biker bars in the 90s, the way that this narrative is being spun. Now, just like with everything in this political climate, it's not people on the right versus people on the left. It's people, extremes on both sides versus reasonable people in the middle. Obviously, nobody is advocating for extraordinarily salty or offensive language to be allowed at local game stores. Duh. But if you listen to these morons on the other side of it, their arguments are just as stupid. Like, they think, well, geez, come on, you don't want to promote bad language, do you? Do you think people should? No, of course, nobody thinks that. But the narrative is in full swing. And I don't understand. It's like the people who are pushing this family-friendly game store are pushing a narrative like there's a bunch of woke 7-year-olds waiting outside with cash in hand who just can't come in because salty language is keeping them out, or good Christian families are just, they're just not going to the game store. Now, this number, I agree, is a non-zero number. There are people that don't go to game stores because of salty language or things like that. But there's also lots of people that don't go to local game stores because the bathrooms are disgusting. There are a lot more people that don't go to local game stores because their prices are unfair. There are a lot more people that don't go to local game stores because the guys that go there don't shower and they smell bad. These are just a few of the rampant issues affecting game stores. Only my issues are actually palatable because in almost every game store I've ever been in, these things are true. Every game store I've been in, when there's some salty language going on and a kid walks in, and fair or not, when a girl is present, everybody always polices themselves. I've never been in a situation where people just like continue to drop F-bombs around a 9-year-old kid. It doesn't happen. I've been to probably 10 different local game stores in 5 different states, and I've just simply never seen it. I've been going to game stores since I was 14 years old. That's 20 years. That's more than a lot of you have been alive. And when you put a bunch of guys together, let's be honest, that's who's there, you're going to get some salty language. Sorry. But guess what? It's not Wizards of the Coast's responsibility to enforce their own ideology on local businesses. We already see this with tournament organizers with nebulous, personal conduct policies that can basically just allow them to kick you out for any reason that they deem fit. And I want to be clear here. I don't have one problem with any local business owner or local game store banning swear words, banning backwards hats. They can ban bad haircuts. They could ban beards. I don't care what they do. That's their decision. That's their own business. If they want to turn people away, that's their right. What I have a problem with is, one, corporations deciding what words are acceptable and what they aren't in a private business, which is a huge, huge red flag for me. And I have a huge problem with people that seemingly have never been to an actual game shop. It's like all these people, editors at Marvel that have clearly never read a comic. They never read comic books, and DC honestly is getting like that too. You have all these people coming out of the closet that would just, they have these horror stories about local game stores, and either I'm one of the luckiest people on the planet, or they've never been in that situation. Because I've been to more local game stores than most people. Yet, if you read some of the replies on these tweets, it's like you would think that it's a constant barrage. Like you walk into a game store and there's like sailors drinking beers, smoking cigars, slapping girls on their butts. It is the picture that is painted is absurd. And the fact that so many people, so many of my large peers on my main channel community are coming out and saying like, well, it's not like we're asking too much for you to not say these extremely offensive things. You're right. You're not asking too much. I don't have any problem with a local game store owner saying they don't want that in their game store. I only have a problem with the corporation trying to enforce that. And we've seen them do that. What they'll do is they'll have some baloney, personal conduct policy and they're going to threaten the store with their DCI, they take away their WPN status. So they can't host events if they have do something that they don't agree with. There was a store in Wisconsin where the owner went on some anti-Semitic rant, which of course, thanks for being in Wisconsin. But Wizards can do whatever they want technically, but that doesn't mean I have to agree with it. And to punish all that guy's customers because of this guy's behavior kind of sucks too. So the other thing that I've seen a lot of in this conversation is that this term is now floating around, family friendly. Right on the booster pack, I'm pretty sure. Let's see, I got a booster pack right here. I know it says it. Right on the actual booster pack, you can see ages 13 plus. Imagine that. So the company that makes the game is telling you that this game is for people who are more than 13. So don't tell me you want to bring your 6-year-old to teach him magic and that, it's right on the pack. So if you're willing to teach them a game about, killing people and all that stuff, then why is this salty language such a big deal? I mean, are these the same parents that let their kids just browse the internet, watch YouTube videos all day long? Or, I'm sure they don't hear any swear words at school. I'm sure they don't hear any salty language on their cartoons or their TV shows or their movies. I'm sure they don't hear any salty language at all in these games that their parents are totally fine with them playing, like Call of Duty and things like that, right? That's how I know this whole narrative is baloney. When I was young, my parents didn't let me swear. If I swore, I got my mouth washed out with soap. It's not the game store's responsibility to police other people's language. Parent your own kids, right? If you're so worried about your kids hearing a curse word, instead of trying to shelter them from it, just maybe be a real parent and say, you know what that guy said? That's adult language, and you don't say those sort of things. And if I ever hear you say those sort of things, I'll be washing your mouth out with soap. Because guess what? It worked for me, and it worked for thousands of kids before me. So just, maybe be a parent and then stop trying to enforce your language policing on grown adults in a private business. And I think everyone would be fine.